The first AI disaster may not look like machines taking over. It may look like a summer night. Your power cuts out, and the city doesn't come back. Then it spreads. Elevators stop. Traffic lights fail. Phones go dead. Hospitals switch to backup power. But somewhere nearby, the servers are still running. The cooling systems are still humming. And the AI economy keeps pulling power from the same grid. This isn't science fiction. It's what happens when the grid can't keep up, and it has to choose between what people need and keeping AI online. That choice may be closer than you think. That's the illusion. AI feels weightless because most of us only see it on a screen, a clean box, a fast answer. Nothing physical. But behind that answer, there's a body. Steel racks, fiber lines, chips running hot, rooms built to keep machines alive. And that body has needs. It needs cooling. It needs land. It needs water. Most of all, it needs electricity. So when AI grows, it doesn't just grow online. It grows into the grid. And that's where the strain begins. One request doesn't look like much. One answer, one image, one search. But scale is where everything changes, because AI isn't growing like an ordinary app. It's growing into buildings, cooling systems, power lines, entire campuses built for computation. And the numbers reflect that. The International Energy Agency says data centers could reach around 945 terawatt-hours by 2030. That's slightly more than Japan uses today. So this is no longer just a tech problem, it's an electricity problem. And when demand reaches that scale, servers aren't the hard part anymore. Power is. Getting it, moving it, delivering it in time. And this is where the story shifts. To feed the AI boom, big tech doesn't just need chips, it needs power that doesn't blink. So the search moves beyond data centers toward long contracts, dedicated supply, and power plants most people thought belonged to the past. In Pennsylvania, Microsoft signed a 20-year power deal tied to restarting 3 Mile Island Unit 1, a separate reactor from the one that failed in 1979. That detail matters. What it shows isn't fear, it's pressure. When a dormant nuclear unit enters the AI story, the demand has reached a different level. But even if you find the power, that doesn't solve everything. You still have to move it, and that's where the grid starts pushing back. This is the part most people miss. The problem isn't just making electricity, it's moving it to the exact place AI needs it. A data center can rise fast, concrete, steel, server halls, but the power connection runs on a different timeline. In some parts of the US, that gap can be huge. A data center may take 2 years to build. The grid connection can take much longer. Because the grid doesn't scale like software. You can't just push an update. You need transformers, lines, crews, permits, time. And when the grid is under pressure, it starts making invisible choices. Who gets connected, who waits, and what breaks while they're waiting. Now picture this, a few years from now. AI isn't just answering questions, it's quietly helping cities run. Hospitals use it to manage schedules, beds, staff, patient flow. Delays don't stay abstract, they reach people. Banks use it to watch transactions, spot fraud, flag risk, keep money moving, until the system starts to stall. Cities use it to manage traffic, signals, routes, emergency response. When coordination breaks, the consequences are immediate. So the question starts to shift. It's no longer just, can we turn AI off? The real question is, what breaks if we do? And when the grid is under pressure, that question becomes dangerous. Then comes the day no one wants to plan for. A heat wave hits, demand starts climbing, and the grid begins to feel the weight. Air conditioners surge across thousands of homes, not because people are comfortable, but because they're trying to stay safe. Hospitals prepare for instability. Generators come online. Staff watch the lights, because here, losing power isn't an inconvenience, it's a medical emergency. And somewhere nearby, a data center keeps running cold. Servers, cooling systems, machines that cannot afford to overheat. Inside the control room, the problem stops being theoretical. There is power demand everywhere, and the margin for error starts to disappear. The city needs power, the machines need power, and suddenly the grid is caught between both. So who gets protected first? The people trying to survive the heat, or the systems built to run the future? That's the question no one wants to answer. But if the pressure gets high enough, someone will have to. But the blackout may not start with darkness. Sometimes it starts with a bill people can barely afford. Sometimes it looks like a housing project that stalls, a development approved, land cleared, but the grid connection isn't ready. Sometimes it looks like a factory sitting quiet, machines installed, workers ready, but the power those machines need isn't there yet. Eventually, it reaches the town hall. People start asking what their grid is for and whose needs it should serve first. That's the hidden blackout. Not lights going out all at once, but friction spreading through everything. By the time a city goes dark, the crisis may already be underway, quietly, slowly, in places most people never see. For years, we talked about AI like it lived in the cloud, but the cloud was never really in the sky. It was on land, inside buildings, connected to wires, fed by substations and power plants. The future may run on intelligence, but intelligence still runs on electricity, and electricity still needs a grid. That grid was built for homes, factories, hospitals, cities, not a world where machines keep asking for more. And that brings us to the hardest question. If the grid can't power everyone at once, who should get it first?